Yes, sir.
What other agenda things need to be?
The
Election, or did you want the introduction to? Is that what you said?
Back here, we're removing that.
Yeah.
And then introduction, it's necessary since we did it. I will, because it includes stuff. Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Good deal. And if you want me to follow the rules of attendance, virtually, I can do that.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned nobody knows that, so. Do you wanna do that initially, since we got new folks and somebody attended virtually?
Okay. We are streaming and we are.
I'll do after the pledge and, okay. All right, it is 6:15. We'd like to call to order our first regular monthly meeting, January 14th, 2025, of the Spalding County Board of Elections and Voter Registration. If everyone would please silence your cell phones and all other electronic devices and stand for the invocation and pledge. The invocation will be given by James and the pledge by Dexter.
Please join me in the invocation. Our Father which art in heaven, we are met here today to do the work of the voters of Spalding County. We pray thy Holy Spirit would be with us and that would be what we do. We pray that the one who is chosen to lead us would be a person who will uphold the laws of the state of Georgia and of Spalding County. And we pray that all be according to thy will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join us in the pledge to our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we don't have anybody who signed up for citizen comment, so we're gonna skip that part. We additionally have already administered the oaths for the board members, so, I'm just gonna skip over that part as well, unless there's any objection. Next up, adoption of the agenda. Do we have any amendments to the agenda? No. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as?
I move we adopt the agenda as written.
There we go, James. Dexter second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's 5-0 carries. Stephanie, since we have a remote participant, would you mind sharing the, rules and stuff around that for the new folks?
Of course.
And the
So
old folks.
the open meetings law allows for virtual participation either by telephone or video, twice in a calendar year for any member who is out of the jurisdiction and unable to attend or unable to attend due to illness. Mr. Pyland is attending this meeting virtually. This will be his first in the calendar year of 2025, and he will be allowed to attend one more virtually. And the other requirement is that there be a quorum physically present at the meeting location, and we certainly have that here tonight.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next up, Kim, would you like to introduce the board members?
So I want to welcome the board members for 2025, and I'll begin with Ben Johnson, James Newland, Lee Howell, Dexter Winbush, and joining with us virtually is Chris Pyland. So welcome, board members. I look forward to working with you this year.
Thank you so much, Kim. Okay, it's a new, I guess, 2-year period, so every 2 years we elect officers. So, for that procedure, I guess I'm gonna turn that over to Stephanie and
So,
put my gavel down.
Mr. Chairman, actually, we elect the chair every
Every
2
2 years.
years, and the other positions are a 1-year term. And at this time, since it's not really appropriate for the chair to accept nominations for chair, I will go through the nomination process. Nominations do not require a second. They are not debatable. They can be amended. When there are no further nominations, I will declare the nominations closed, after which we will proceed to a vote. So we don't have to have a motion to close the nominations. And at this time, I would open the floor for nominations for chair, which is a 2-year appointment.
I nominate Ben Johnson for chair.
Okay, we have a nomination of Ben Johnson by Mr. Newland. Are there any other nominations? If there are no further nominations, then the nominations are closed. And all in favor of the election of Ben Johnson as chair of the Spalding County Board of Elections and Voter Registration for calendar year 2025 and 2026, please raise your hand. All right. Any opposed? All right. Then Ben Johnson is duly elected chair for calendar year 2025 and 2026, and I now turn the meeting back over to him for the remainder of the elections.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'll try to run that as efficiently as you did. Let me see your script there.
It's for chair.
Oh, it's just, well, I can sub the words. Okay. All right. Well, so next up, we've got vice chair and secretary, correct?
So nominations for the vice chair for a
Okay.
1-year term, and then nominations for secretary.
Got it, okay. Okay, so, would like to open up the floor for nominations for vice chair for the 2025 term.
I nominate James Newland.
Dexter's James Nealon. Any further nominations? All right, hearing none, nominations are closed. All in favor of James Nealon for vice chair? Was that, we got Chris?
Yeah.
Was Dexter, did you? Oh, okay, yeah, since you nominated, I kind of assumed, okay. So any opposed? All right, hearing none. James, thank you for your continued service. Next up is, secretary for the 2025 term. Open the floor for nominations for secretary.
I nominate Chris, but I don't remember his last name.
Pilot.
Howland, okay. I nominated you, Chris, sorry.
All right, do we have any further nominations? All right, hearing none, nominations are closed. All in favor of Chris Pollen for secretary for the 2025 term? Yep, so, any opposed? All right, carries unanimously. Chris, welcome aboard. You are now secretary. Thank you, sir. And that will complete the elections. Next up is the approval of minutes for the December 10th regular monthly meeting. If you'll look, clearly noted minutes and take a review if you were here, or even if you weren't. Just like to point out that we got out of here at 6:36 last time, so, we might not make that this time, but we'll try.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
am I in order to, move that we approve the minutes?
You are, absolutely. Second, so first James, second Dexter. All in favor of approving the minutes as written? All right, I heard an aye from Chris. Lee, was that, yes?
I normally don't vote when I went in a meeting, but sure, I'll vote.
Okay, all right, 5-0,
They look good to me.
understand that. All right. Okay, so, next up's the approval of the 2025 calendar. I'm guessing that's gonna be under general. It is?
It is.
My goodness, everything's right where I'm looking. So if y'all will turn your tabs to general, or turn your folder to the tab called general. This is our meeting calendar. Kim, do you want to speak to any, are there any adjustments from the first or from the second Tuesday or?
No, there's not any adjustments from that, just as a reminder about certifications. Those are always held on the Monday following the week of the election and held there at our office, the Board of Elections and Voter Registration at 825 Memorial Drive. Also, just one other note, the meeting for May 13th, if you see the note there, I will be out of town. So I'm leaving it to the board's discretion whether they want to continue with that meeting without me, or if you want to reschedule, cancel, I'm just leaving it at your discretion what to do with that date.
Okay, and that's something that we can wait until later to figure out too.
Okay.
So, right, okay, so,
But if we adopt the calendar, then we're gonna leave it as the May 13th then.
They can still cancel
we
the
can,
meeting.
but we
at
can
a
still
later
cancel,
date.
right, we
Okay.
can still cancel and add it, unless you had a suggestion of the week after or the week before.
I believe it was the 6th through the 20th that I will be out of town.
So that's
So if
3
you look at-
Tuesdays, isn't it?
Pardon? What did he say?
This 3 Tuesdays, isn't
Yeah,
it?
3
Am
Tuesdays.
I doing my?
I think I come back on a Wednesday, so that would
Okay.
be right, I believe. Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
let
we
me just
will,
look real quick.
I think we just need to just wait and see how we're doing and make that call then, if we don't have any business or if we do, right? Any other comments about the calendar? Lee, Dexter, Chris? All right, motion to approve the 2025 board meeting calendar is in order. Dexter,
A second.
James second, all in favor? All right. I heard aye from Chris, so 5-0, we have a calendar. Okay, flip on past the calendar to the next page. So, House Bill 769, essentially, it rewrote, local legislation governing this board and, specifically allocated all duties, responsibilities, et cetera, to the actual board, and not really anything to the supervisor. While I guess, while a lot of counties, it's actually written that way as well. When, I guess in 2021, almost immediately after, we realized that for like budgeting and for like all kinds of other things, we actually ended up enumerating them out, I think the second time around, which is 1 through 7. We came up with this list together as a board of things that we need to delegate back to the supervisor to actually do her job. So, it is set up right now to be, re-voted on and re-resolved, annually. I think this is something that we've got in the red lines of 769 to take care of, or do we?
No,
This
this
one,
is
okay.
something
That we would still need to do?
Resolution.
Okay, gotcha, okay, so, any discussion or comments or questions? New board members are old around I guess they'd really be around the 7 specific tasks, and 1 through 7 would be the things that I would expect a question around.
I was there when we discussed this the first time, and having all these things go through us before Stephanie can act is certainly way too cumbersome.
Before Kim can act.
Or Kim can act, I mean. Sorry, Stephanie.
Okay. All right, a motion would be in order to, approve this resolution. All right, Dexter,
A second.
James second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, here we go. 5-0. The resolution is adopted. Or is approved. Okay, we're going pretty fast. I don't know. Depends on how fast Kim can talk. Kim, how much stuff you have? Let's see. I haven't looked yet. Well, you've got several pages here, so, take your time, ma'am.
All right, I'll try to move quickly. I know we all have things we want to do, but we do have a little bit to cover and just want to be thorough. Excuse me just a minute. Alrighty. Election calendar, please see attachment in your general. Now that's the election calendar for the year that the Secretary of State's office puts out. Just a few quick notes there. We will have a June 17th special election for the soil and water conservation seat. We will also hold a November 4th municipal election. The City of Griffin Board of Commissioners are meeting this evening to consider the call for the election and set the qualifying fees. Once I hear back from the City of Griffin, of course, they will post the call for the election, and then I will publish the qualifying fees, dates, and times. Financial update, I've included a financial update in your package as well under general. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. There were just a couple of things I wanted to make a note of on the cover sheet of the financial report. I do want to just point out, if you see the overtime, we did go over budget there. And we'll know now, I want to say up front or preference the financial report with this. I'm looking back at budgets, it was really hard to gauge what a general election year was going to look like, because 2020, our last presidential election, was COVID year. And you really couldn't gauge by that what would transpire later on. So in going forward, I feel like I have a better record of what to look for, what to expect. Also, we did not anticipate, we were hoping, but didn't know whether we would acquire the new facility, the area next door to us, which we're very grateful for. But anyway, with that said, overtime, and then also if you look at legal fees, this new line item was added toward the end of August. I spoke with the financial director today, so I had no way to know to budget for that. I believe at one point in time, and in speaking with Ms. Dye, it did actually come from one fund, whereas now it's going to be budgeted by department. So I'll know now for next fiscal budget, which I'm working on now, that will be a part of the budget, the legal fees. So election expense, we are over on election expense. I still feel confident that we'll finish out the year. If you look, our budgeted was total $678,182, and we still have remaining balance of $174,502.47. I think we will be fine. I will add, though, that we are about to conduct a full, as we do in our off years, voter registration audit. We're going to do that with our using, already employed staff. But if the need comes and we need to bring in a little extra help, we will do that. So just a little note there. Do you have any questions? All right, we'll move on. So next is the voter registration update. You have that in your general as well. I'm not going to read everything aloud to you. What I do want to let you know is that as of yesterday's date, we had 54,041 registered voters in Spalding County. And if you'll flip the page, I just want you to see the summary of voter registration transactions. Of those transactions, 781 transfers into Spalding County, 518 within county addresses, 563 new voters, that's first time, and 143 name changes. And then I want you to look there at the 1,968 no changes. So we have what is called a dashboard, and on that dashboard are different tiles that we work. Those tiles are Department of Driver Services, My Voter Page, online voter registration. So there are different ways that people can register to vote or change their registration information. So the total of 3,916 total number of transactions. Now, keep in mind that we did have that October 7th deadline prior to the November general election. And then we held, because we held the work because there was a December runoff. So when we came to begin working the dashboard, our numbers were up. You won't see this type of numbers every single month. So just a reminder there. It is a larger amount of transactions, but that is a breakdown for you. Moved OC transfer out of county report reflects that 1,055 voters have moved out of Spalding County. Again, we could not process this report until after the December runoff. Remember, just a reminder that we have learned that in Jarvis, if there is something major going on, leave it alone. And that's what we did. There were other counties having December runoffs, not us. So we held the work, and sure enough, it paid off because there were other counties that proceeded and had to go back and do some things. But we held, and I was thankful that we did. But so out of the moved OC, we at that time, but I believe, and Sandy, you can speak to this, is it 100% complete now or 90%? It's 100%. Yesterday when I was putting the report together, it was 90%, but it's 100% complete now. At that time, 101 of those records, those people had already moved back to Spalding County. Okay? So what we did was we looked, when I saw that number, I said, we've been holding this information for a while, have not been able to process it, so we need to look at it in the system, their actual record in the system, and see what the most current information is. Is it the report, or is it the voters' information in the system right now? So when we looked at each individual, we could tell whether they had actually moved back into Spalding County or not. Any questions on that? Okay. Looking ahead to 2025, the audit of voter registration physical records is set to begin by January the 22nd. We have estimated that this will take approximately 2 months. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'll be right. The audit process will consist of comparing, you're familiar with this, those of you that are old, should I say, or have been with us for a while. But for the newer ones, in the off year, we conduct what I mentioned earlier, the audit, the voter registration physical record audit report. What does that mean? That means we look at every single card and compare it to the system to make sure that the voter's record should still be in our physical card file. Has something changed with them? Are they accounted for? Do we have a physical record for them? We should. And so it proves to be very beneficial when we do this audit. But at the same time, what we will be doing, which is a little bit different or in addition to what we've done in the past, is if there are any records, say for instance walk-ins, that's not a digital record. That person walks in, fills out an application, we process it, we file it. Okay, we're going to begin scanning records. Most records we have a digital record of because they come through Department of Driver Services or online voter registration. So we are going to be capturing any that we do not have a digital image of, and we're going to make sure that we get that scanned. Any questions on the voter registration report? Okay, I just also want to add that we were notified by the Secretary of State that an ERIC cross-state confirmation process would take place the week of December 16th. However, we are awaiting follow-up from information on this process. Spalding U. What is Spalding U? It is new. Spalding U is a free program designed to inform and improve citizen knowledge about day-to-day operations throughout our county government. During the 10-month program, participants meet for 3 hours, 1 day a month, for a hands-on look at services offered throughout our county. Tells you a little bit more there about it. Just want to say that I'm excited about our office and our staff being a part of this. I think we're going to be, I've been speaking with Cheryl Burks, and we'll be preparing to present an hour to an hour and a half presentation to those who join the Spalding Youth. Printing of precinct cards. Just a reminder to the board, because I think you should be aware about certain things. Prior to August of 2024, the Secretary of State printed precinct cards for all voters, then shipped them to our office, and then we posted them and mailed them out. The Secretary of State has contracted with No Ink to be the vendor for printing and postage and mailing out to voters. This change took place during election season. What is the issue? The amount of no changes, in quotations, what you heard me say a while ago, 1,900, etc., no change records that we process, accounts to close to 60% of our voter registration work. Each time a file is touched, whether there is a change or not, a precinct card is generated to our knowledge. That is the way it appears at this time. I spoke with David Greenwald today with No Ink, and we have found a solution to save taxpayer money so that unnecessary precinct cards will not be generated. It will take a little extra effort on our behalf, but we will do it and it will be worth it. In the meantime, I have sent a suggestion to the State Elections Division on how to remedy this issue by implementing a Generate Precinct Card tab when processing a voter file. The response, their team is addressing this issue, so we hope to hear from them soon. Advanced voting and additional space update. About the same here as I told you at the December 10th meeting, but I feel sure in about a couple of weeks that Dr. Ledbetter will have an update for us on this, on the renovations. Website update. You have with you the new website design and development under general. This is Hammond Marketing, and just as a reminder, Hammond Marketing is who is the website designer for Spalding County now. And so what we were looking at, what I spoke with you about at the last meeting, is a need to move out on our own from Spalding County, have our own website. And the reason for this is because of being able to last minute notifications. When we are held by law to notify the voters, the public of certain matters, we need to be able to do that ASAP. Hammond Marketing requires a 24-hour notice, and so if, say, it's a special call meeting, emergency meeting, so forth, so on, we could really get in a mess depending on someone else. So with this, with us going out on our own, we will be able to make changes to our website also. And there are certain items that we will not have to ask permission, that if we see a need, we can, if we see the need, the board agrees, then we can have that change made to our website. I do think that we are fine until, especially considering the election season now as being very mild. So my recommendation is that we include this in the 2026 fiscal budget year. So that will be included in the budget year. Just a note that page 7 shows you the multiple pricing plans, and I believe that the basic one will meet our needs, and that amount there, I believe, was $15,500 for a year. So if you want to take time to look over that, and if you have any questions, I don't mean right now, but here in the future, I'll be glad to answer them for you. And as I said, this will be implemented within the 2026 fiscal budget. Update on ballot images for 2020, ballot images for 2020 to the webpage update. I received an update approximately 4:30 p.m. today, in that the TIFF files could possibly cause a negative effect for the Spalding County website as a whole due to the size of the files. So this was a little concerning to me, so I said hold. And however, it appears that we can create a link for this file folder and place access on our webpage. So that is something I'm going to be working and speaking with Mike Wyndham about tomorrow. Poll worker appreciation with board members Christmas party. I want to thank the board members who attended. Really was appreciated. I think a good time was had by all. In attendance for the poll worker appreciation Christmas gathering were approximately 60 poll workers. I just want to say thank you to the board members, and for Chairman Ben Johnson and Board of Commissioners Chairman Clay Davis, who spoke words of gratitude to our poll workers and to our staff as well. Our staff served poll workers with a thankful heart, and this event was successful and brought joy to many and spoke volumes of our board, our staff, and our community. Projects in process. Budget, ballot images upload completion, Spalding U, and voter registration audit. This concludes my report unless you have any questions.
Any questions? All right, Kim, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we just got one item under old business. Consider approval of resubmitting revised House Bill 769 one more time for consideration by local legislators.
Some of the changes will negate the need for some of the items on the resolution.
That's
not
not all of them. Okay, that's where, okay. Among other things that, Stephanie, do you want to kind of highlight and summarize the
Sure,
changes
sure.
that you and everybody else has in the past been in agreement about us needing?
So one of the changes that you'll see throughout is the change of the title of election supervisor to elections director. And I think that's been addressed fully by Ms. Slaughter. It puts her in line with the other department heads as they are called in Spalding County, and it also is a more accurate reflection of her duties. And as she is the director of elections and voter registration in Spalding County. One of the changes that you'll see is at section 5, and this is just because it's no longer the need. There's no longer a need to set out the process for selecting the 5th board member. That process is in place. And that's done by the judges of the Spalding County Superior Court. On the next page, which is a significant change, and that is section 9B, it deletes the additional fairly onerous requirements that were placed on this board by House Bill 786 or whatever. Is that right? I can't even remember the name of it anymore. 769. That go above and beyond the requirements of the open meetings law, and it just says that we comply with the open meetings law. And this is one of the changes that I've been the most adamant about, and that is because based on the law as it stands, we truly cannot call an emergency meeting, even though in elections there are often the need for an emergency meeting, which caused us during advance voting and the election this year to have an extended meeting that we called to order and then recessed for days at a time, because this requires notice of at least 24 hours in advance for not just a special called meeting, but also for an emergency meeting. So the request has been that they would remove any additional requirements from us that aren't on any other governing agency in the state of Georgia, which is that of the open records and open meetings law. Also, it does change from the board to the elections director the ability to select and train poll workers and select and train staff and run the office. So it would take away some of those things that are in the resolution that you voted on tonight. So there wouldn't be a need for all of them, just some of them. Then I'm going to let Ms. Slaughter address the hiring of folks in the office. The requirement is currently that the election supervisor and all employees of the elections office be residents of Spalding County. The requested changes, as they have been presented to our legislative delegation previously, would take that residency requirement away from the staff in the office, but not from the elections director. So, and I think that Ms. Slaughter may have some additional comments or thoughts on that particular topic.
Yeah, just some food for thought that as I've went through hiring processes and looking at applications, there have been many applications that I couldn't look at further because they were not a Spalding County resident. So it has limited sometimes being able to maybe hire someone who was really qualified for a position or interviewing them, even interviewing, let me say that, someone who was highly qualified living outside of the county. As I do totally agree with election supervisor, should be director, being a resident of the county. However, I think I agree more that maybe it should be a percentage base of the staff would be residents of the county, not all required, or not required, not all remaining staff outside of the elections supervisor be required to be a Spalding County resident. But I do believe a percentage maybe should be. The reason for that, and this is just my thoughts, you're the board, you make the decision. My thoughts of that is if you are in your community, sometimes you're more invested. That's just my work experience, the things I see. I'm not saying that's not true, or not true with everyone who goes to work and works outside of a county. I'm not saying that at all. But I just believe it does bring something to the office itself, the environment, when you are a part of your community. So those are just my thoughts, and so you can do with that as you see as the need.
And as this does, this resolution would provide for the elections director being the one that handles the hiring, firing, disciplinary action against anyone in her office. She can certainly have a local preference in that. You don't have to tie her hands to 50%, but if that's what she would prefer, then you can certainly do that. Just keeping in mind that we likely won't get another shot at changing this legislation again for many years.
That is a true statement.
And the last thing is section 14B. The last change to this local legislation required the board to utilize the county attorney for legal services. And while I am thrilled to have represented you and hope to continue to represent you, I have never been in favor of this section of the legislation, because it is and always has been my opinion that you should be able to choose your own legal counsel.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie, Kim, for summarizing that. I mean, as far as, taking action on this, I would imagine probably Lee and Chris, it's probably their first time seeing this as tonight. That'd be accurate. So from a legislative timeline standpoint, I don't have the legislative calendar in front of me. I know
They're in
now
session
would be-
until April, but the sooner that we can get something to them, and probably the sooner and the most frequently during the session is the best.
Right.
I think
Mr. Chairman,
Dexter
would a
has
few
a question.
comments be in order?
Absolutely.
I've said this before, and I'd like to say it again. It's very easy for a relatively small county like ours to be absolutely swamped by the enormous counties to our north when it comes to hiring people. There's just so many of them. And while I'm not against removing the requirement that all employees, be residents of our county, I really don't want all of our employees to be from Gwinnett or Cobb or any of those other mega counties up there that are 10 times our size. Just something to consider. And I'm also in favor of removing the requirement that we have to use the county attorney as long as we do use the county attorney.
Clear as mud, but I understand. Lee, Dexter, Chris, do y'all have any?
I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, I just have some questions for curiosity. Do the other counties require, well, first of all, two questions. One, we don't require county employees to be residents of Spalding County.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
And-
the county does not.
The county does
The
not.
county
That's
does
what I
not,
mean, the
just
county
to be
does
clear.
not require. Okay, and two, do you have any feel or any knowledge of how other election boards, because I think the Board of Elections is a special category.
Yeah.
And so in general, my first reaction is, well, they ought to be county residents. But do you have any knowledge or feel of how other county elections boards handle their staffs in terms of, do they require them to live in the county or?
I really have never asked that question of another election supervisor or director. I guess my field, just in speaking to different ones at the conferences that we go to, seems that they are, for the most part, connected in their community just through conversation that I have. But on the other hand, there's one elections director, they live right over the line into Alabama and serve as the elections director for a county in Georgia. So, it can differ.
Well, like I said, in general, my feelings would be that I would, if I lived in that county, I'd want to hire a lawyer and bring questions about why a resident of Alabama chaired or directed elections in Georgia. But anyway, in general, I have problems though with not requiring the employees of the election. I can understand other departments, but when you're talking about the elections department, in general, I think they ought to be residents of Spalding County. And at the least, I would probably up the percentage. You want 50%, I'd probably go to 75% at least. But that's my comment.
Okay, fair enough. Did you have any other questions about any of the other changes or?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, I go along with everything else. I just am concerned about being a resident of the county if they're going to govern our elections.
Well, so I'm wanting to make sure I'm understanding you clearly. So, in there, it's still leaving that the election supervisor or director is Spalding County resident, but the employees of the department that are hired by the director is the percentage that's sliding back and forth that we're talking about. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'd go higher than, she wanted to go 50% of her staff, I'd still higher than
Gotcha.
75%. Yeah.
And that's just a suggestion. I'm good with whatever the board decides. It's just an experience and a suggestion based on experience.
Dexter, you have anything?
I'm wondering if our legal counsel could give us an opinion letter. One on the number of counties or election boards that have this type of criteria for hiring. I hear what Director Slaughter is saying. She's saying that she wants to remove that restriction because she wants to bring in a more qualified pool of applicants that right now she can't consider, right?
Well, I want to be very clear. I think our staff now is very qualified.
Well,
But,
yeah,
yes.
I'm just going by what you said.
Right.
And so I guess my fear would be if you got one department with two different sets of employment regulations as it relates to hiring, does that not put us in the position where there could be some legal liability, because what would be the legal reason for removing the restriction for all employees, all the staff, but maintaining the requirement that the election director be a resident?
Stephanie, do you have any
I mean,
comments there?
I understand I understand the question. I don't think that, I don't think that there are, and this is completely anecdotal, but I don't think that there are other counties in the state that have these restrictions. There may be other counties that do require the elections director or supervisor to live within the county, but I don't believe that there are others that consider that the employees of that office be residents of the county. I think this legislation was a special case for Spalding County and addressed issues that were believed to be a need for Spalding County at the time of its passage. I also think that because this board is sort of a different animal than others in local government, that it would be difficult for a legal challenge to the legislation that has passed the legislature 159 to nothing, to be challenged as far as a residency requirement for the elections director, at least challenged successfully. So I do believe that you can pick and choose, not that, I'm not giving you an opinion as to whether or not you should.
But could you give us an opinion, just so we're on a legal,
Sure,
a solid legal footing?
sure.
Because I can see this as another way for somebody to come out to Spalding County, and whether or not it's successful or not, it's going to be expensive. We're already,
As they all seem to be.
even today, we're $30,000 over on our regular salaries employee. You get litigation, and that $30,000 goes to $60,000, right quick. So now we've gone from a zero-based budget, we're operating in the red. And so I just want to be careful that we're not setting ourselves up so that people can come against us. And the legal memo would give us some solid footing.
Sure.
That we didn't take this decision without considering that.
I can certainly do that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Dexter, do you have any other? So, gonna do questions, see if we can form a motion, and, but Chris, did you have, and I'm presumably you have a copy of this stuff, right? I figured you did.
I do.
Okay,
I think just the comment, would say, I agree with the comments of, people from Spalding County would probably have, a better interest in the success of Spalding County. While at the same time, I don't wanna be too restrictive with Kim in the sense that she can't get, able to fill her vacancies, by the restriction. So, I would take under advisement her recommendation where she feels she can hire. That's all I have for that comment.
okay, so timeline would be better to get something adopted sooner than later. I don't think February's too late or anything, but like our House legislators and Senate legislator, are all aware of this. We've been asking for it for, 3 years, really, well, since it was passed, pretty much, right?
Yes.
Since 769 was passed, so, they know we're already asking for it, so if we're in disagreement about one detail, we can, I guess, see what Stephanie can come up with as far as, a letter of opinion, is that what, a legal opinion on the kind of bifurcated, hiring. I guess what Stephanie was saying as far as it really wouldn't be us or the board, I guess we would ultimately get sued,
legislature.
but the legislature would be the ones making the law, not us. But I understand that people can still sue us for it, so, and that's where you're coming from, so. Yeah, personally, it's almost kind of sounding like Lee's 75% is, would be maybe the best alternative here in terms of allowing Kim to make exceptions to the rule for exceptional people from outside the county and not disqualify. But, I don't know, up to the board if we want to.
I would be willing to back that number.
Okay, all right. So, a motion would be in order to, let's see, let me get the wording here. I guess we need to amend the, revised consolidated,
At
litigation
section 12D.
at section 12D to state that, all
To
right,
require that 75% of employees be resident.
to,
Or
yeah,
at least 75% be residents.
to require that, or to all such, so to require that at least 75% of employees shall be legal residents and registered to vote in Spalding County and shall remain legal residents of and registered electors of Spalding County while employed by the board. So, that would be a motion if anybody wants to make it.
So
Okay,
moved.
Chris first,
I'll second.
Lee second, okay, discussion. I'm fine waiting on Dexter's request to get filled. You know, I am in a hurry, like this really needs to get done. I mean, as soon as we get whatever the final stuff is, I'm gonna be calling the legislators and I will give all y'all their numbers if you don't have them. They need to be reminded, they're all busy folks. And they all have limited kind of, political ammunition to spend, but they need to understand that like, we've been asking for this for a while and it's really kind of getting to be, you know, we're really lucky that we had to hold, you know, week-long meetings that we had to adjourn and reconvene, during this presidential election cycle and just, way too onerous in that regard and.
Mr. Chairman, I can get a legal opinion to the board by the end of next week. If you had a motion to do that pending your approval of that, legal memorandum, then, we wouldn't have to have a special
Yeah,
call.
Mr. Chairman,
That sounds
what
good.
exactly is that legal opinion gonna say?
It will give an opinion as to whether or not we would be, potentially subject to a legal challenge. We being Spalding County and the Board of Elections and Voter Registration, if the residency requirement, was not consistent across the board. Is that,
With that, okay, so,
It's already not consistent.
it is
Because
consistent.
We're the only agency, I mean, we're the only department in the county that requires our employees to be county residents.
I mean consistent, across other boards of election and voter registrations across the state. Because all boards of elections and voter registration are created by legislative authority and are not part of, county government per se.
but I get what you're saying too, Lee. So, and we're already not consistent with all the others because of what Stephanie just said, because they're all created, essentially by bespoke legislation. I would be great with that. Let's see if I can, craft this, motion that would be in order unless somebody else wants to give it a try. Okay. Let's see how good I am tonight. Probably not that great.
So how do we stand on the current motion?
So, well, nobody's, so.
We have a motion
We
and
got
a
a
second on
motion,
the
so we
floor.
need,
We got to
somebody,
we got,
yeah, somebody's got to, amend, um, we need to amend, who made the motion, Chris?
Chris made it, yeah.
Chris needs to amend,
Yeah, I'm going to amend the motion, pending, legal review from Stephanie.
okay,
So are we gonna table the motion?
so Chris, what we were after with that would be to, amend the motion to, pass pending approval of Stephanie's legal opinion by,
Right, if the opinion is in the positive, then leaving the 75% as it is in the current motion, we would just move forward. If it is not, then it would need to be brought back to you either in a special called meeting or in February.
so basically we could say we would pass this contingent on a positive opinion.
Mr. Chairman, I don't like to do things contingent upon, so why don't we just, if Chris would go along with this, why don't you allow me to make a substitute motion to table this until February?
Okay, so that's gonna be up to Chris. We've got, I think a proper amendment that is contingent on.
I solve your problem, I'll withdraw my second. So then you won't have a motion on the floor.
Can you withdraw a second? Okay,
Sure.
okay.
So you don't have a motion if you don't have a second.
Well, are you doing that?
I'm withdrawing my second.
All right.
Second the motion.
Can you do that?
Um,
I have not had that happen before.
Yes, you can withdraw your second and then someone
Else
else
can
can
second.
choose to second it.
Okay.
And I would honestly say that I'm not comfortable putting this off until February. I would prefer that, if it's tabled, then that we have a special called meeting to address this more quickly than that.
I would agree on that.
I go along with that. I just am not ready to vote on it tonight.
Okay.
Until after we see her thing. So, I'd go Kirk, well, you'll call her, as soon as we get her opinion, you'll call a meeting, we'll vote on it.
Okay. I honestly did not expect us to pass this tonight, since, several folks have just kind of seen this for the first time, so. But I do agree that we need to get it done fast. So,
So are we looking for a motion to table the motion?
no, so,
Chris would need to withdraw his
Chris
motion.
the easiest thing would be for Chris to withdraw the motion, and then we have a motion to table, unless you want a second and we move forward with a vote and the vote dies or not.
I just don't want to lose the motion, that's all.
So, okay, well, if you don't want to, if you want to move, y'all making my job hard tonight. If you want to move forward with Chris's motion, Lee withdrew his second.
Yes.
You can go ahead and second. We would have a very, very brief discussion again and vote. And, then it would either pass or fail, and if it failed, they could vote, Lee could vote to table, or excuse me, could make a motion to table. I
Well,
believe is correct.
Many things in life are contingent on other things, so,
It's very true.
unless Chris withdraws his motion, I'd like to see a vote on it, I'll second it.
Okay, second. So did you get all that? Very good. Okay. So we got a second. All right. Lee, understand you don't like things being contingent. Have heard your opinion. Dexter, do we have any strong feeling one way or another?
I'm with Lee. I just don't wanna vote on it tonight until I see what legal counsel says. I just think it's unfair to ask us to vote on something when there's unreadiness, especially as it relates to the legal implications of this.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And like I said, I was not really prepared for this to even get this far tonight. Been kind of interested to see how this is played out. And yeah, and I would prefer that we maybe get better than just kind of 50, 75. We maybe try to figure out a better way to, to split to quantify the residency. It just seems very arbitrary, I guess. But, okay,
Mr. Chairman, let me call the question.
I was gonna see if Chris wanted to withdraw the motion real quick before we call the question, but, either way,
Yeah, hey, Ben,
hey, Chris.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with, you know, in consideration with, you know, the timeline, the deadline that this needs to be done. If everyone is amenable to a call meeting, pending receipt of the opinion, I think that is totally appropriate. I did have one question regarding that. Is on a special meeting, with my schedule, and if I'm out of town, does that count as my second, remote in, or is that only regularly called meeting?
It counts for special and emergency meetings as well. It is twice in a calendar year, regardless of the type of meeting.
Okay, all right, I mean, there is risk there, but as long as, you know, we're ready to accept that risk, I'm fine with, withdrawing the motion.
Okay.
Can we set the special meeting tonight?
Do you have a, okay, so if Stephanie can come up with a timeline, we can set that tonight, and, we can go ahead and motion to table until that meeting. I guess we can call the meeting date with the tabling.
Actually, it would be separate, the motion to table.
Okay, so, yeah, so do we have a motion to table? Lee, motion to table?
We don't have a motion.
Motion to table the
Discussion of-
approval.
Oh, the discussion,
Yeah,
okay.
the
action.
item, the
The
action.
action.
Okay.
Okay. Dexter second, all in favor? All right,
Aye.
all right, 5-0. Tabled, just checking the calendar.
Would y'all be open to a morning meeting, or do you need an evening? Evening is very tight.
Depends on which morning.
Depends on which morning, yeah.
So if you're looking at, starting on the 23rd of January, that's a Thursday. Next Thursday. Could anyone do next Thursday, or could a quorum do next Thursday in the morning?
Can we possibly do Friday in the morning?
I could, yes.
Friday works better.
Friday better for Dexter.
Mr. Chairman, I will not be present because I'm going to be in New Orleans at a convention with my wife from the 22nd to the 26th.
Gotcha, okay.
If you wanted to say the following week,
I think I'm a lot more clear that week, too.
any morning, I could do any morning the following week.
Okay.
Other-
27th
No,
is Monday.
Yeah, the 26th is Sunday, so they will come back, so the 27th is Monday. Any time that week's fine.
Chris, how are you the week of the 27th?
If I'm able to attend, I'll have to call in.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys go ahead and make this, you know, a meeting where you can have a forum with, you know, the four others, and, I'll work my schedule to call in.
Any day other than the 28th is good for me.
Okay. I'm Monday, 27th. Good. Okay. 10? 10 work? 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we don't need a motion or anything to schedule that, right? Okay, so, we're gonna, have a special call meeting to address the approval of resubmitting revised House Bill 769 once more on January 27th at 10 a.m. All right, that concludes all business. Board member comments. Let's start with Chris.
No, just, appreciative, thankful for the opportunity to, serve Spalding County and with you guys, and, look forward to, good working relationship with everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Dexter?
I just welcome Lee and Chris to our board. I look forward to 2025 being an outstanding year.
Lee?
I'm proud to be here, to be of service to the county, and, look forward to working with, Chris and Dexter and, everybody. Cause I think we're gonna have a good year. And we disagree, but we seem to get on fine, work things out, so.
James?
We do try to get along. I believe we all have the same goal, and that is to serve the electors of Spalding County and to conduct fair and honest elections. And that being the case, we don't have much reason to disagree, really. Some of us do have preferences one way or another, and that's fine. But I do also welcome both of you, Lee and Chris. I don't know how they talked you into this, but I'm glad they did. And welcome back to us, huh?
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
And Dexter,
He was already talking about the James.
you're the only one that didn't have to get sworn back in
I'm sworn in for life.
for life, yes. Dexter's a lifer.
All right, how do I follow that up? No, I appreciate the new blood, and I do appreciate the difference in opinions, and I'm gonna have to sharpen up my Robert's rules even further with this crowd I can see. So, Kim,
Chairman, I have to tell you, first thing that happened when I was in the legislature, first day on the job, they walked in, handed me a book that thick, and they said, "Learn it."
hopefully you remember all of it. Just keep me straight. So,
I don't know if I remember it all. I'm just saying that was the first thing they said is learn it.
Gotcha. All right. Kim, thank you so much. Appreciate everybody coming tonight. And with that, a motion to adjourn would be in
I
order.
so move.
James and Dexter again. It's 7:21. We stand adjourned.